my message is that people are unemployed throughout the state of Alabama. My message is the United States is facing a debt crisis. And we have a situation where Mr. Abraham has now told it all, how he used money from the Indians to elect Republicans who in turn use their influence to shut down legal businesses in the state of Alabama, and now we have some 10,000 people out of work in the gaming industry. Our message today is this is wrong. This is our Wall Street. The reason why all these young people are protesting here in Alabama and at Wall Street is because the major corporations through tax loopholes are not paying their fair share in terms of taxes. There is tremendous corporate greed, and yet 99% of the American people are struggling and only 1% are benefiting from the economic fruits of our nation today. And so, as the original sponsor of the bingo measure in the state legislature, I am protesting because Governor Bob Riley and others use their power in a conspired effort between the federal government, the Indian nation, to shut down legal businesses in the state of Alabama. And consequently, in Macon County alone, we have 2,000 people who are unemployed, 2,000 people who can't pay their utility bills and support their families and are going through hardship because of this situation. For us, that's our Wall Street. That is why I sympathize with these young people here who are saying that the major banks, the major corporations on Wall Street, they are benefiting from the tax loopholes. They are making the money. They represent the 1%. We represent the 99% of the United States of America who are hardworking and struggling in this society. So Mr. Abraham has now made it public knowledge how he used money from the Indian nation to support Republicans who said that they were against gaming publicly, yet secretly you understand what happened. That's wrong. That is unfair, and therefore we're protesting against this today. Yes?
You would like to see the issue of electronic gaming be brought up again and debated and put out to the people about what they vote on?
Well, obviously we'd love to see that happen, but we've already done that in Macon County. Remember, I'm the legislator who introduced electronic bingo to Alabama in 2003. My bill 660 passed the Alabama legislature. The people of Macon County voted on it 76%. And we were operating a legal homegrown industry. That's our Hyundai, that's our Mercedes, that's our that's an industry that we created because of the people voting.
Am I going to clarify something?
Yes.
We don't support any bill or any party or any candidate.
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify that nobody here speaks for anybody else here as far as I'm concerned. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Yes.
We do support all actions to eliminate systemic greed. And you know, if anybody's been paying any attention to the news lately about the Jefferson County bankruptcy and is not absolutely outraged or not paying attention, not paying attention. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that.
But I support what they support, and that is corporate greed in this country has got to stop. The tax loopholes that make it possible for the major and we have a perfect example of that in Alabama, the Native Americans who pay no taxes and no competition.
But I think
so it's related.
This way to Macon County, you would also like to see that the corruption trial go away.
Well, there's no question about it. There's the federal government, and the reason why I'm doing this in front of the United States Federal Courthouse is that 40 years ago, I worked out of this federal courthouse as a United States Department of Justice Community Relations Supervisor for the state of Alabama. Judge Vance, Judge Pointer, U.W. Clements, we all worked together for justice. And here it is 40 years later, we're still fighting injustice. 40 years later, we submitted a civil rights lawsuit here to this courthouse. A 3-judge panel sat on that lawsuit and did nothing about it. So we're here in front of this courthouse today saying we want justice, we want fairness, we want equality. The president is talking about jobs, needing jobs. Well, he needs to do something about it in terms of intervening in what is going on here in Alabama. Why spend $30 million on a trial and we're facing bankruptcy in this country? Why retry people and you're not going to find anyone guilty? That's a waste of our tax dollars. So we support the Wall Street movement in Alabama and in Birmingham, Alabama.
And for the Occupy Birmingham group, it mainly you're just only here support for the as you mentioned, you oppose corporate greed and such as that.
We oppose money controlling government.
Exactly.
Money is kind of usurped free speech.
Yeah.
So the idea that Abramoff may have funneled money around here in Alabama and then just to circumvent a vote of the people, or that sort of fits in with your agenda there.
It's the sort of thing that's been a plague of Alabama politics since they wrote the 1912 Constitution. The 1912 Constitution was instituted to force a regressive systemic.
Just on that point.
Sure.
And he's telling the truth, and that's non-political. That's just the truth.
Once again, I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think that's some. We can just look at it. That'll work.
I mean,
full name first.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
Mondays.
Kenneth Lipp. LIPP.
LIPP. And are you a UAB student or are you just
former UAB student?
All right. Occupy Birmingham. You've been working with that group.
We actually Joanne and I were there the first day at Tuskegee Park in New York, and we had a family issue recently that's brought me back down around Birmingham. And while we're here, I mean, this is where I'm from.
Not necessarily endorsing bingo, not endorsing that bill at all, but one thing does tie you. Tell me about what that does makes you upset that coincides with the mayor here.
That pecuniary interests are control civil rights in this country. That corporations that spent trillions of our dollars to get us into the position that we're in, where children are starving, were rewarded for that with trillions of dollars when they mismanaged their funds. And they're still not in jail when last month Troy Davis, a man in Georgia who was unable to get a reprieve after 4 witnesses recanted, said they were coerced by police, was still executed to force regression to a state when you can't be contradicted by the poor. You can't be contradicted by the poor, and it's black and poor. All these things have always gone together in the South.
And going back to the situation, I guess to talk about how the idea of a lobbyist in his own book saying he got money and his job was basically to circumvent.
And he's naming people as well. I mean, apparently, there's talk that Riley's been implicated. Alabama has got to get rid of this poisoned well. I mean, we start everything from a constitution that was built for aggressive politics. And there were, 20,000 people, 20,000 black people who didn't exist voted for it when they put it in place. They forged the original record books. Everybody knows this constitution is dead. How many? We have 1,100 amendments now, something like that. I mean, easily sevenfold any other state in the United States. Our sales tax and our property tax is backwards. The way we fund education is backwards. We can't make fun of Mississippi anymore. Something's got to be done because people are going to die. It's not about winning a political rhetorical game, and Alabama politics is still about that.
And remember, I was coming to Birmingham to do my press.
Yes, sir.
I was coming to Birmingham to do my press conference, and I was driving down the street, and I saw these courageous young people, and I stopped to go out and let them know. It's just coincidental.
Ad hoc sort of meeting.
I saw them, and I told them that I support what they are doing because it's the same thing that we are fighting for. Justice and speaking up for the 99%. That's what we fight. And so they agreed to join me here.
But bottom line, you see, again, one of the stories, the bigger looking picture. Alabama's in a lot of trouble money-wise. Budgets next year, from you're hearing from your local lawmakers, are going to be terrible. Yeah. Even worse, this is a legitimate source of funding that can help out.
No question about it. It really is, because the federal government, the state government, the county of Jefferson, all facing financial crisis. And you cannot, and yet they're spending $30 million on a trial Now they're getting ready to spend millions more just for a conspiracy, a conspired effort between the Indian nation, the state government, and the federal government. That's a misuse of our tax dollars.
Mr. Mayor, give me your full name.
Johnny Ford.
I know Johnny Ford, but your organization and basically describe it.
I am now the founding co-chair of the National Policy Alliance. This is the public policy organization that represents 11,000 black elected and appointed officials. The group that meets with President Barack Obama and advises him on black public policy issues. And I am the founding co-chair of the National Policy Alliance, the NPA.
And with freshmen getting old too, refresh my memory about it.
I am currently
the mayor. Or
no, I'm the former mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama for 28 years and former Alabama state representative.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the first African-American mayor in the history of Tuskegee.
All right, we might get some shots of you guys
going
around here a little bit.
All right,
I think we're good. Did we get everything you needed?
Oh yeah, we're fine. And we're ready to
site.
All right.
Radio stations and
How are you? Of course I do. I was in the area office.
Did you already get them walking down?